shots, funny enough, but no, they were just a straight up hammer.
Around 11 a.m., the suspects followed a customer into Geneva Jewelry at Canyon Crest Town Center in Riverside.
Basically, the customer walked in, but she didn't close it all the way. They walked in nonchalantly like nothing happened. They pulled out their hammers and they just started smashing. And it was super terrifying, but I mean, we're pushing through, like I said.
Michelangelo Torchia's dad at the counter, his mother and a family friend in the back of the store as the crime unfolded. You see the customer moving behind the counter as the hooded suspects snatch valuable jewelry from the case and toss into their bags.
You can see two of the bullet holes right there.
His father fired shots.
He shot at the ground, and once he shot at the ground, they got scared. They fell to the floor. They walked out. They ran out.
And then we just see him running out maybe 10 seconds later, and then 2-3 shots.
Detectives interviewed several witnesses. Maya was working at a neighboring business and believes the thieves were casing the area.
You know, opened the door, stuck their head in, looked around, and ran.
The windows at the family-owned business are now boarded for repairs. Geneva Jewelry has been around for more than 35 years, and this wasn't the first time Michelangelo's dad has been victimized.
He went through a robbery, an armed robbery, in fact, where they tied him to a chair in '92.
The family is hoping by sharing this video, it might lead to arrests.
But at the end of the day, the most important thing is just that we're safe.
The family says there needs to be tougher consequences for these kinds of crimes. They are tightening their locks and plan to reopen on Tuesday. Rick and Karine will send it back to you.
New Proactive Clean, an acne routine for sensitive.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 4 now. The iNewsWire and the Evil FB Network and Rumble. Maybe it's even on YouTube tonight. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire on Rumble, or even on the Evil YouTube. I just do that every once in a while to irritate them to see what's going on. Of that, you saw the smash and grab in Riverside. We'll get into that in a minute. Some surprising debate broke out at the Valverde School Board last Tuesday. We'll get to that. On top of we did cover the before mentioned student achievement rates, which were definitely in the tank over there, but there was another thing that got out there, and you might get a surprise of how my reaction is going to be with it. But we'll, of course, cover that. Tape Dr. Kelly Victory will be on after we join the Mighty Met KMET 1490 at 5:30 p.m., as we usually do on a Monday through Friday. And tons of the border is going. Now that they closed the border down in Texas, they're in the Rio Grande Valley in Eagle Pass, Texas. They were getting 3,000 to 4,000. That's correct. 3,000 to 4,000 just in Eagle Pass, Texas. That's where you see the razor wire and all that going on, the big publicity. Since Greg Abbott sent down his troops and Biden backed off, they're down to 30. 1%, just securing the border, eliminated 99% of the illegal crossings. The 1% the Border Patrol can deal with, and that's what they should be dealing with. The fact that they're not on this thing is just hair-raising of what we have happening in our society. But we'll get the new report. And of course, Joe Biden has to pay off the cartels for getting him elected. So they have moved him to California. That was their stopgap. That's why they're not pushing the Texas deal, but we'll get into that here in a bit as we go. It's semi-amazing, like you saw the smash and grab, that we started with, that's coming to Riverside. It's coming from where we told you as soon as the LA and they ran out of places to rob in Los Angeles, where are they going to come? Right across the border. They're not going over to Orange County because they're even tougher yet than we are on stuff. So they're going to come to Riverside and San Bernardino. As you heard the store owner say, and apparently they hit them with the 12 gauge or whatever. I don't know why they didn't hit them. That's kind of amazing. But again, as you saw the picture, and we'll see if we can get the big picture up. Let's get the big picture up. This was another consequence of wearing the mask that we have. And these guys come in, they're all masked up, then they start smashing and grabbing. They once they saw the shotgun and that, they quickly dispersed, so they didn't loot the whole place with the smash and grab. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this shakes out in the future. If our criminal justice law enforcement system becomes paralyzed, then you have basically what's known as anarchy, where people are going to protect themselves from these types of crimes and threats to their lives and safety. So that's the most important part of this, is our guys got to get a handle, and so far no charges have been filed against that. And as I heard Ryan Rells back, the PIO from Riverside Police Department, as I understand it from him, and I'm no lawyer to give legal advice, but my understanding of the law is it's no business, doesn't matter where you are, if you feel you are in imminent physical danger, you are allowed to use whatever force it takes to eliminate that threat of danger to yourself or the personal safety of others. So there was a case like this in Orange County or San Diego County, and no charges were filed on that, which I think I really don't see Mike Hestron, or I don't see Riverside Police Department and Police Chief Larry Gonzalez and or ultimately DA Mike Hestron filing any charges on this case, rightly so, I believe, because no matter what, and even if the cops, even if we didn't have the chaos we were going right now, this guy, this jewelry store, his employees were the first responders, not the cops. If you're in a dangerous situation, or somebody's doing a threat to you, or you're in Las Vegas and some guy just starts shooting bullets all over the place, you are the first responder. Those two heroes in Kansas City that accosted the shooter there, they were the first responders, not the cops. They were on the scene when the cops were not. Well, they could have been at the scene, but even though they were probably at that parade or whatever, there was a celebration going on there, they weren't particularly right at that site at that time. The first responders were those two guys that got there and accosted the shooter, so he didn't do any more damage or the two shooters, however many there were in that situation. But again, if somebody busts into your home, if somebody's trying to do a carjacking, if somebody's shooting at you on the road or walking down the street or shooting at your kids or whatever, or trying to grab them, kidnap them for whatever reason, you, who's ever at the scene of the crime, you are the first. If you're there, you're a victim of it, or you're there, you're a potentially first responder. So again, and I don't want anyone to have a firearm that they're not trained to use, comfortable of using, know how it works, know how to properly use it. But if you're not, I strongly encourage you to investigate getting a firearm to protect yourself. Because I believe this stuff is still going to get worse before it gets better. Even if they get that new petition out to reform, all the numbers that we've heard and reform the laws of letting the criminals out and all that stuff, it's still going to take a while. Even if we wave the magic wand and change it today, it's going to take time to build the infrastructure back up, get the prisons back opened up. We got to open up 1,200 beds, or we should be doing that anyway, in Riverside County. Let's get them staffed. Let's get them opened up. So when I'm going to say when they catch these criminals, even though it's going to be very difficult because, like they said, it's very going to be very hard to identify them of that. But I got faith in the cops of doing their job of running these guys down. So eventually, they'll, as most thieves, they'll keep doing that, and eventually they're going to get caught. So, as I said, we do need, though, to 1,000% be very, very, very mindful and have, if you're not comfortable with a firearm, I encourage you to look into at least getting pepper spray or something. Have something with you that you're comfortable of using in case somebody's pulling a threat on you, because you never know. You can never tell when this sort of situation is going to happen. And it rolls up on you so fast, you don't even, you got split seconds to, in some cases, can be life or death decisions. And I hope you're never in that situation, but once it presents yourself, you can't back up the clock and say time out or any of this stuff. And I believe that's a story maybe we'll do another day with all the, it's part of the anti-bullying, like you're going to wipe that stuff out, or, if there's a threat, you don't do anything, or trying to teach our kids not to do anything or run away from it or whatever. Again, there's a fine line between all this stuff. And again, if you're put in that situation of, a violent situation, again, there's no backing up on that. And, if the cops don't get there in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, what's the average, even in the average response time, I think, is like 4 or 5 minutes, even in one of these horrific situations like, like the shooting that was in Kansas City, or, Lord knows a lot of them we've had. So, again, be prepared. I'm still, even though Moreno Valley and all these schools are in a crisis, still believe they need to have better safety measures. And I still believe every one of our public schools should, at least at all times, when they are basically open and occupied with students and teachers, there should at least be one person on campus all the time with a firearm, properly trained and all that. But I've still not backed off of that opinion. See, Freddie B's checked in. I wonder if he's still on that. I haven't seen him come up to the school boards yet or in a while to reiterate that, or that he was on top of that. I had to get him in here too. We got to talk about, because I think he's NRA certified firearms instructor, so he could speak more eloquently and with more expertise on what it takes to, what's involved, how to train, how to safely use a weapon and all that stuff, because he actually does it. But we'll have to, I keep saying that, and I never do it, but we'll get him in here and we'll talk about we'll talk about that in a whole lot of these realms, because he does go to the many of the council meetings or school boards, and that's one of his main concerns, along with chasing after the vagrants. On that, but we shall hopefully come to a solution to that nasty problem, because it definitely needs to be done. The Gulag, Gavin Newsom, had a press conference. I think it was Thursday, but he's pimping the two things. Mainly, he's pimping the statewide California general contractor, builder, developer, that the state is basically going to be the developer in chief and pretty much the sole developer of any housing or building in the state of California. On top of that, he is using and setting up this dominoes, or the deck chairs, for the CHP to be the state-run police force. They know most of the city councils they got, and they control most of the police chiefs because the councils appoint them. The problem is the county sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer in that county, and he's actually above them, and he's elected by and accountable, that screwy word, way overused. It's 100%. I think, since they think they probably cannot get the county sheriffs appointed by either the governor or the legislature, which they've been floating that idea, they're using the aforementioned, like the smash and grab robberies and the retail theft and all that out, as an excuse to run the CHP in. The California Highway Patrol, their job is to maintain law enforcement on our California highways. Not that they don't have jurisdiction, but they mainly they're on the freeways and the highways, state-run highways, state freeways, and interstates. They do traffic enforcement a little bit on the roads, but you don't. That's why you hardly ever see, unless they're pulling off the freeway to go to the donut shop or whatever. But they're basically stick to the highways, and that was their jurisdiction. The local areas, county sheriff, police departments, they patrol their local traffic or whatever. They basically, that's kind of how it, if you look at the helicopter chases, you'll see, well, they're changing jurisdictions if they're on the freeway. CHP is behind. If they get off in Montebello, the city of Montebello police take over. If it runs through there for a while or whatever. So that's the second danger, and this is what came out in this press conference that was last Thursday. And that's the second part of this. And I think it's very important. That's why we're going to really break this down. And then, of course, he's pimping for Prop 1, what's going to ultimately cost us $12 to $15 billion to provide more vagrant housing and all this other stuff going on that they've totally wrecked, and we've been through that 87 gazillion times. So this is his new secretary of, we're going to screw over the people on this housing deal chick, who, well, she was one of the opening acts for Gulag Gavin Newsom on that. So we'll see what she has to say.
Half of our most marginalized residents, this is a moment to celebrate. HomeKey saves lives. This is not about dollars and cents and units. This is about providing urgent, responsive services and housing to the people that need it most.
So you're getting, got the wrong one. Okay, now we got the right one. So we're getting to what it is. It's not about the people. It's not about providing you. It's not providing you a housing. It's about control. They don't care how much it costs. These motel rooms, what's the average motel room? About 10 by 20 at best. That's why I use the 200 feet cubicle. Okay, they take a motel, typical Motel 6 or whatever. It costs you $100 a night or whatever now. The 6 they were $6 a night. But, it had a bed in it. You had a place, a dresser and stuff to hang your clothes. You had a bathroom, a shower. It's pretty much what most motels. Some of the ritzier ones, maybe you had a little refrigerator and a sink to make stuff up. That's what they're now calling a kitchenette. So they're putting a sink and stuff in there and a place for like putting a refrigerator in, and then they're calling this is what they have in store for you. That's what they say. It's not about the dollars and cents, because the one project they're actually at is going to cost $500,000 to re-innovate these little 200 square foot motels. That's about the 200 square foot is about the size of the average living room in the average single family home that used to be the American dream in our area in the United States of America. But she said, that's not, we're just going to take whatever we want. We're going to build you something that, even if they were ripping you off, would cost you $50,000 to build. We're going to charge you $500,000. Again, this whole, your existence is going to be within 15 minutes of walking distance of your little cubicle. That's where you're going to start. And you're not going to be able to allow to be basically, they're going to make it almost impossible for you to, whatever you can walk or bicycle within about a mile of radius of your home, that's going to be your world. Because you're evil, you pollute the world, we're all going to die. Nonsense. Here's Gulag opening up the presser. Here we go.
Mr. President, to council member and deputy mayor, and to all of the distinguished guests, everybody that's here, thank you for the privilege and opportunity to update you on where we have been, where we're going as it relates to the room key and home key model. And I say room key with some intention. Two driving forces in life: inspiration, desperation. Inspired, certainly the beginning of my term, to address the issue of homelessness and
inspiration, desperation. His hand gestures are just ridiculous. But again, we're going to address the issue of homelessness. We're going to make everybody homeless. We're going to, well, if we can't jack the interest rates and mortgage rates up high enough, and the initial price of housing, approaching $900,000 for a single family home, a used home. That's not a new one. That's the average resale price for a used home. Probably over $1 million average for new homes in the state of California. We can't price you or interest rate you out. Then we'll just jack the insurance rates up, your electricity and everything else, where you can't afford insurance, you can't afford to air condition and heat the home. So what will be your next alternative? Turn to the state's little 200 square foot cubicle in a re-innovated Motel 6 hovel.
Housing with some renewed vigor and energy immediately was confronted with the crisis of a pandemic. And out of desperation, we came up with a different model, a different paradigm, a different way of thinking. Using the crisis mindset, we were able.
Using the crisis mindset, this is what I've told you. As soon as 98.7% of you on March 18th, 2020, when this jackass was locked down California and the rest of the deal, and then Birx and Fauci, and they convinced Trump, 2 weeks only to stop the to stop the spread, and we'll be all over it. They realized at that point, when 98.7% of you complied and shut down and were afraid to go outside, they knew they had you by the short hairs.
To advance a program called Project Roomkey that started quite literally right here, right behind you in the motel you see.
As I say, don't let the cancer of California spread across the other 57 states, as Obama has said. Where did it start? Right here in California. He's pointing right over to Oakland to this. Mind you, the 100 units, and they're not even talking about the opening of that. We got a discount of the 41 units. They only cost us $341,000 a copy for 200 square feet. I didn't even want to do the calculation per square feet, because take the finest mansion in Beverly Hills, West Palm Beach, Arab Emirates, or wherever. They don't cost $1,500 a square foot to build. Maybe the most lavish one that people were just spending money for no freaking reason costs that much to build. You could build the most luxurious housing you ever dreamed of for half the cost they're providing these little per square foot of these little cubicles.
It was the first one, what became thousands and thousands of units that we master leased during the depths of the pandemic to get people off the streets, particularly those that are cohorted during the early time of the pandemic in encampments and the like, and to maintain some stability. That program became a national model in and of itself, but what it...
There, again, he's telling you again, this program of you living in a 200 square foot cubicle, and you only be able basically to go within a mile of your little cubicle, and that will be your world, unless you get a passport to get out of that, if the government grants you permission.
Initiated was a different mindset of thinking that if we can lease these units, why can't we just buy these units? And Roomkey made way for the home key model. Working with chair of the Budget Committee, Senator Skinner, and others, we advanced a $3.5 billion commitment.
So there you have it again. We figured, we tried it out, and that we slowly suckered everyone or most people into it. We'll just lease these. We got a temporary this and COVID, and people are dying in the streets, and we got to do something. So, we found the biggest pot of gold we've ever come up with. This is one of the biggest ripoffs in the history of the world. If it's not number one, I'd say probably the military spending, not defense. Military spending is probably number one. This is probably 1A. I even think I think the few that are grabbing are making more as a percentage of profit by far than the military contractors have, and they're experts at this.
In just 3.5 years, we now have purchased over 15,000 new permanent hotel and motel rooms and have advanced investments to convert other office spaces and new modular construction.
So now that they killed, oh, you have to actually go to the office to go to work, and we got a bunch of empty office buildings around. Oh, you know, they got these nice little 200 square foot cubicles all in here, partitioned off, all ready to go. So the state's now going to buy up these old dilapidated hooker motels. They're going to buy up the used office space that's not being occupied. And they're going to put you an extra sink in and a little itty bitty cabinet. Maybe add a couple feet onto the closet. Here you go. That's your new home. Why do you think they're discouraging families and less kids and all that other stuff? Like I said, COVID has expanded this plan immensely.
A little bit more on that in a moment. Today we're announcing, as was noted, a $99 million additional investment. There's still additional resources left. To be precise, $138 million left of the $3.5 billion after the $99 million is distributed today in 6 counties in the state of California, including here in Alameda County.
If anybody could follow what the hell he's talking about in raw numbers. But the short story is he is ripping us off, and a very few of his cohorts are ripping us off at unprecedented rates that we've never seen before. This is COVID on steroids.
All the way down San Diego, LA, Fresno, and as was referenced, Yuba City. Those projects, those 6 additional projects, will get this portfolio a little closer to 15,500 permanent units here in the state. The program you see behind me, this will be up and operational within 12 months. There's the guy responsible. He's stress testing the 12 months. This is a 104-unit motel. It's not what we're announcing today, however. What we're announcing today.
So this 104-unit project that they're at is not what they're talking about. That's not what they're introducing it. They're introducing it to the 41-unit deal down the street, the discount one. Here we go.
Is offsite downtown Oakland, an additional 41-unit project, $14.3 million. What's interesting about this,
and I wouldn't doubt they spent more, but even if it's just, that was probably the state's contribution. The one that they're talking about, the one that they're actually opening up, not this one, is costing $341,000 per unit just for the state's contributions. If the city of Oakland or somewhere the federal government put more, it's probably over the $500,000, like the 100-unit one he's talking about. Their estimated final cost is it's going to be $500,000 a unit to rehab a hooker motel, the 200 square foot room, and make it a permanent residence. This is going to wind up being a 100% disaster. Motels, just for a little bit of for those not familiar with construction and development, motels are built to a lesser standard because they're not fully occupied all the time. The things are not, the plumbing, everything, the electricity is not being used at the rate or the capacity to go in. So they're let's just say they're very minimal standards compared to a single family home that you have to do if you're building a motel. You don't have to put in as heavy a duty this or as strong as that or as durable as this, because the load factor on a motel is nowhere near it is the load factor on a daily basis for your single family home. So now that you're going to turn these projects into permanent homes when they were just made as temporary domiciles, like I say, most of these were used as hooker motels. This is going to be an unmitigated disaster. I said that when they built the ones over there on Day Street and Eucalyptus, and this one they just built by Indian in the freeway. Developers ain't dumb. They're putting them in there. Yeah, then they knew this was coming. So then all of a sudden, oh yeah, we can convert these right over. We built these at 2/3 the cost if we were building a regular condo apartment project. And then we're going to sell it to the state for 3 times more than it's worth. More on this scam.
That goes to supervisors' point, and I think more broadly, our generic broad concern, and that is it's not just a capital investment. We need to seed some of the operational supports so we provide a sense of community and place and continuity, confidence for neighbors that this is an added value. This is not a burden for
high density housing is not an added burden. He just needs to go to his legislative analyst's office, go look up the 2015 study and said higher density housing will lead to a lower quality of life, lower economic opportunity, and lower student achievement. They are making you stupid by shoving you into these little cubicles. They will make your kids even stupider after they get done with their sub-education. Then they're going to be subjected to this.
For the community. So that project we're announcing today here in Oakland is 14.3, not just 12.3. That's the capital. The $2 million is for ongoing operating investments to help support the whole person model, to support the issues that underlie why these units are needed in the first place. So that's the advancement, that's the announcement here today. Now you say, well, you only got $138 million left. You know, it's nice you've been able to get 71 or so thousand people off the streets, but it's not good enough. I drive around, I see what I see, everybody's angry about it, I understand. And that's why it's absolutely critical that people support Proposition 1. Because Proposition 1, it's on the ballot in just a matter of weeks, provides an additional $2 billion specifically to continue the success of this program, to continue the streamlining reforms that are part of this program that allow us to site buildings like this in real time, to continue to do more, yes, with less, $203,000 per key. That's the cost of the state's investment in this program. So we're fast tracking the time to delivery. We're taking existing properties, converting them, and we're doing it at a cost the likes of which we've never been able to advance in our state's history.
This is the con. We'll get to the Prop 1 thing in a second. We're advancing this at a cost unprecedented in state history. Your mindset has been programmed, oh, they're delivering it cheaper. No. Typical, even in today's construction, typical single-family home costs you $200 to $300 a square foot. Let's say $300 a square foot. That's acquiring the land and everything. Let's say brand new project. If you take the average cost of 900,000, 3,000 square foot, do the math. They're at $1,500 plus a square feet for these little cubicles. Yeah, unprecedented high prices. You could buy property at the French Riviera for what they're charging for this stuff. Then, of course, we got to do the Prop 1 pitch. $6 billion they're going to take out of your pocket, and then they're going to sell you back this housing. You know, they're doing under the guise we're going to do mental health. They blew $27 billion just on that, on Prop 63. Another $20 billion in the COVID in the last 5 years since Newsom's been in there. And God knows how many more billions more. Prop 1 is a scheme to make you pay for your little cubicle It's going to cost you 5 times as much for 1/10 the house.
So we want to replicate success. We want to move away from the areas where we're falling short. And so what Proposition 1 does, it provides minimum $2 billion. And I say minimum because it also seeds $1 billion ongoing each and every year for housing at all types of all stripes in the reform of the Mental Health Services Act. I won't go into too much detail, but all I can say is a no-brainer to support Proposition 1 if you care about the issue of homelessness, housing, and mental health. And I don't know which order that is, but I would imagine that's in your top 3 in terms of your issues, my issues, our issues.
So Newsom wants to raise the cost of housing in the highest housing costs in the nation and quadruple that at best, at a minimum. That's what you're voting for in Prop 1. And they're doing a hell of a job. The latest poll says it's going to pass 2-1. 2/3 of the people are supporting this because they created, we're going to get the vagrants off the street with this. Ha, 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 ha. If we buy this, we probably really deserve what we're going to get.
In the state of California, the most significant opportunity to put a dent at the scale and scope that is needed of this crisis, Proposition 1 on the March ballot, and to do it without replicating failure, instead replicating success and not having to start something up, but to keep the directional momentum so we're moving with speed, scale, and the scope that this crisis deserves. So I'm really proud of this. I'm proud of the partnerships, and that's the final point I'll make. This is all about partnerships. It's about leveraging private sector dollars, private dollars here that would never have materialized, that came from philanthropy. Public money from the city, public monies from the counties, all of this packaged together with a different sense of intentionality and focus that is needed at this moment. Let me just close on this. I was once again down the road cleaning up.
Should be is cleaning up the empty space between your ears because we got it from the federal government and the state, and we put some in, we got it from the local, and it all came from us, you yo-yo. I think more people are starting to figure that out. Maybe not enough if Prop 1 passes. It's astonishing the gullibility of people today.
Dollars to beautify. You've seen that on the freeway. You'll see some of the old encampments, and you'll see some new fencing we put up, some new trees, some beautification efforts.
And when they temporarily got us set up down the street before they can get the wire cutters back out and cut down the fencing and stuff and be back in, just like they were under the one where they lit the freeway underpass on fire and had everybody shut down for a month. No wonder they control these press conferences to the max.
Of Oakland and other parts of the East Bay, more broadly defined. We still have 72 CHP officers, so that's the new baseline.
We have 72 police officers. Now, Oakland is a mess, and that's putting it very kindly. We know that. But we put 72 CHP officers in Oakland, and that's a baseline. Baseline means it's not going to go any lower than that.
Still be doing unannounced surges. Mark my word. I've already worked on the dates and times, but we're not going to make that public till after the fact. You saw the fruits of this first effort. And with respect,
we're going to do the surges, and you saw the fruits of this first effort. But mind you, we're not making a state police force, or we're not going to get involved, or we're not going to take over police departments or county sheriffs. No, we're not doing that.
I don't have a lot of respect for someone that smashes and grabs, runs into a store. I don't care if it's Apple or neighborhood store, and takes 50 plus cell phones. By the way, that guy in Emeryville was arrested by.
So imagine how he changes his tune when he finally, a couple weeks ago at the Target store, as he's paying $380 for his hair gel. Dude walks out, and he's astonished that nobody's doing anything about it. Well, now we're going to talk like a tough guy. But it's all meant to get control of you.
At all levels of government, and, dare I say, citizens of this region state. Don't give in to cynicism. Don't give in to all the negativity. Let's all do our part. Volunteer, restore a sense of spirit and pride. We cannot legislate spirit and pride. That does not come from a Senate bill or an Assembly bill. That comes from people doing more and doing better and recognizing our fate is tied to the fate of all of us. And so I'm here with pride, grateful of the remarkable partnership that has helped advance this project and the projects.
Oh, yeah, he's here with great pride and all that. I got to give it to this guy, man. He could sit there with a straight face and say this stuff. I mean, his propensity to sit there and look in the camera and lie has got to be Bill Clinton-esque.
So, good morning, everybody. Governor Newsom, I'm Antar Hassan with ABC 7 News. Help us understand, why does it take 12 months to get a place like this operational? Seems like it could be ready to go. Second question, there's been a lot of focus on Oakland recently with the CHP and whatnot. Is there some concerns with Oakland, things that aren't being done that you think the city's not able to handle, that you're out here? And then real quick, the recall against Mayor Tao and DA Price, any concerns?
I'm not getting into that, but Oakland and Bakersfield saw an increase in crime. We saw crime broadly decline all across the state of California.
We saw the reporting of crime decreasing across the state of California. They're actually reporting the crime in Bakersfield. You yo-yo, quit lying about it. We get to the cost. That was a very good question the reporter asked. Why is it taking you 12 months to do
That's
a
why I'm here. Want to address that. Want to own that. Got to respond to that. Can't deny that. It's real. And I've met with too many people that have been directly impacted, members of my staff directly impacted by it. Small businesses put everything on the line, lost it, losing confidence. There's high-profile businesses, one just down the block, leaving, doing everything we can, try to convince them to invest someplace else in Oakland, doing our best to address holistically and systemically all of these issues, not just situationally, though the situation, I think, requires a pattern interrupt, and that's what we do.
Oh, the situation requires a pattern interrupt. It's very simple. You want to eliminate this? Let's go back to 3 strikes. Let's go back to putting criminals in jail for their full terms and tell them, now, the first time, we're going to be slightly nice. Second time, you're going to spend a hell of a lot of time more in here. If you come back here the third time, this will be, we have a 10 by 10 Gray Bar Motel for you as your permanent home.
We did last week, and that's what we'll continue to do over the course of the next few weeks. 12 months is remarkable. Trust me. It's the right question. How are you doing it so fast?
I got to give him, he's trying to turn it. The guy, it's ridiculous. It would take, not too far long ago, a project would have been done in less than 6 months, and that's if you had some problems or delays or couldn't get this done. Scott Wiener the gay senator from up there in that area said we should exempt the Bay Area from CEQA, the California Environmental and Quality Control Act, that has been largely responsible to this point of jacking the price of housing and every other development up. Well, we need to suspend it here so we can get these things done. But it's not good enough for you in Riverside or Santee or Yuba City. No, you guys have to suffer. Drop the stupid rules and regulations where you could actually afford to build your dream home like it was that way not too long ago, and we wouldn't be talking about any of this stuff.
I agree with you. I mean, these things usually take years and years and years. And so this thing's being remodeled. It's been redone, kitchenettes. You're taking an old motel that doesn't have a kitchenette, that doesn't have a component that's permanent, that's more transactional in terms of those that come in and come out. And so
what's with the transactional? He's talking to us like we're in kindergarten or TK or preschool. That's another thing the moron does. Now that they got it to TK of 4, know what's next? Now they're going to go down to 3 years old. Pretty soon, moms, you're going to birth the kid, kiss it goodbye, and you might as well just give it to the state.
So this is about putting those kitchenettes, remodeling those units. It's about a lot of electrical upgrades, a lot of plumbing upgrades. But the fact that we have the streamlining legislation that's part of this home key model allows it to actually happen. And so I'm very excited about being back here in 11 months to celebrate this. Thanks.
Hi, Governor. Thanks for taking our questions. I'm Dustin Gardner from Politico. Speaking of the CHP in Oakland, I'm curious, how you would describe success with that deployment. What are you expecting, say, 6 months down the road? What realistically are you expecting?
Well, that's the right question. There's no substitute for localism.
That's the right question. Of course, he's saying, why is the CHP coming in on this? And he's going to try and spin it. Oh, local, we're all for local control. Remember, he said 72 coming into Oakland is the floor, the baseline. We're going to add more to that.
As a former mayor, CHP has limited scope and roles. CHP is not walking the beat in Oakland or Alameda. You got county sheriff's office, you've got Oakland Police Department, you got other community builders that are out and about. So this was never conceived as a permanent strategy to address. It's supportive, and it's supposed to enliven, it's supposed to encourage, it's supposed to distill a sense of well-being. And we did a little of this, by the way, in San Francisco, and I can't tell you, I was with a number of beat officers when I was walking there, and Apex said, and I was really touched by this, that thank you for doing it because you have our backs. They felt like we had their back. There are a lot of CHP.
Again, they're setting this up. They'll change the name from because it ain't going to make any sense to have the California Highway Patrol be the state police force. If we get a California state police force that's basically going to be running law enforcement, well, no wonder they're closing the prisons and the jails down. We won't need them anyway. Besides all the tough talk he's got about, I'm going to do this and that and everything else.
With all the stuff.
I'll leave that. No, we're in a state of partnership and stewardship. Very different.
Hi there, Governor. Ethan Varian with the Bay Area News Group. You mentioned Project Roomkey earlier. I'm sure you're aware Cal OES is concerned local governments could be out some $300 million in FEMA reimbursements for Project Roomkey. Forgive me.
Roomkey.
Yeah, right. And this comes at a time, of course, local governments are staring down budget deficits this year. So how are you going to make sure they get there?
Going to D.C.
All right.
Now you know my.
I'm going to D.C. They're going to print me some more money. and I'm going to spread it around. This is why Moreno Valley Unified School District is going broke. That's why they're having financial trouble in almost every school district and city and county. They got all these COVID funds that came in, that was printed money. Now we're dealing with the inflation and the extra cost, and now we don't have the COVID funds coming in anymore. Now that we hired employees, or we built this infrastructure, we built these housings and buildings and things that we have to maintain, we don't have the money to do it. You got to ask a national question towards the end, which was kind of intriguing. Here we go.
You that the voters passed in Alameda County that we're being challenged on, but that we're raising over $150 million annually. It's in escrow. We probably have close to $400 million in that account. Once we win that lawsuit, we can use that resources for.
He is a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. What do you think of this? And then also for the 2024 election, does 81-year-old President Biden have a better chance of beating Donald Trump than you? And do you disagree with 86% of Americans who think he's too old to run?
I love the reporter. He basically called Joe Biden an 83-year-old drooling old man who basically is incoherent.
Well, I appreciate the question and the framing, but I also appreciate my president and his performance. I'm a little old-fashioned. I care about results. I care about governing. I care about people that deliver, and I care about people's record. And what President Biden has accomplished in just 3 years is the most significant list of accomplishments in my lifetime. And I don't say that.
Inflation through the roof. Real unemployment down. Loss of permanent 40-hour-a-week jobs replaced by temporaries. Disaster of foreign policy all across the board. Crime on the rise. People's quality of life going in the toilet. They feel it every day. And you're saying that's the best accomplishment that you've seen in the United States in your lifetime? Holy freaking cow.
Lightly, I say that knowingly, because we're quite literally here as a beneficiary of those accomplishments. The room key, home key model was inspired by the partnerships that we formed with this administration.
He's telling you that's what he's forming with Joe Biden. They are forming the future of America in Oakland, The future of America to them is Oakland, California, a total city in disaster. Crime so bad. Gullah Gavin Newsom basically told Chang Tao, or whatever the hell her name is, the mayor over there, and you notice she wasn't at the press conference, had the deputy mayor. It's been reported he was hollering at her saying, "You're making me look bad." But he's telling you this is the model. Oakland, California, with its rampant crime. You love In-N-Out burgers? You might as well forget that. The first city that had how many they got? 500 restaurants? I don't know, 300, whatever the number is. Most iconic hamburger stand probably in the world. Their first, just recently, only store they closed down, first one was in Oakland because their employees were unsafe. The customers were unsafe because of all the crime. Kaiser Hospital told their employees, do not go outside. Don't go get a cup of coffee at the local coffee shop or whatever. Don't go out and get a sandwich at Fred's Sandwich Shop or whatever. Because you're lucky if you just get mugged and raped on the way over there. That's the America Joe Biden, Gavin Newsom, and the crew have a plan for you. Sometimes it's astounding how all this stuff works, really. But that was the whole press conference. I think there was one more about China or something or other, or that which we know he's deeply in bed with ping pong over there like Joe Biden and all that, and we know the whole story about that, where they were in Oakland or San Francisco, and that's why when he was over there before, he's out there sweeping the streets around, so ping pong from China didn't see what a hellhole one of the world's greatest cities, one of the world's greatest tourist attractions has turned into, San Francisco. We took a flat winter and turned it into a stinking piece of garbage under Gavin Newsom. Mind you, he's had control since 2004 for 20 years. He was mayor / head of the county board of supervisors, because the city of San Francisco and the county are all in the same border. He was lieutenant governor then moved to lieutenant governor in 2010, then governor in 2018. You just want to close with it. Charles Barkley, former NBA player, round man of rebound, now commentator on this. And in with that, he had this to say. He's doing, one of the no balls games. So we're going to make an exception because we wanted to get the quote of this. So you'll have to endure 30 seconds of the no balls games going on. But this is what he had to say about San Francisco, just a short stone's throw from where Gavin Newsom was holding that press conference. Here we go.
Hey, Reggie. Yes. If you had a chance of being cold or being around a bunch of homeless crooks in San Francisco, wouldn't you?
We love San Francisco.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
You can't even walk around down there.
Yes, you can walk around.
Yeah, with a bulletproof vest.
You gotta love Charles. Yeah, there's a bunch of crooks and thieves down there. Oh no, whoever the reporter that was in there, a commentator, I don't know what she was doing. Oh no, that isn't the case. I don't know who the hell Reggie is, but he ain't got no balls. Oh no, that isn't the case. Charles said damn well right it is the case. Even I ain't getting out in that area.
Taylor, that little red button on that microphone, it says cough. Just hold that down. Just hold that thing down.
Try to shut. Again, Charles Barkley's telling the truth, and what do they want to do? Oh, shut him off. That was great. That's personification of what Charles Barkley should ask questions at the Newsom press conference. That would have been worth the price of admission, because old Chuck, he just tells it like it is. Got to appreciate that. I think we're going to switch gears and cover the border a little bit here. Bill Malushin's been down on the border. He's Orange County boy. He grew up. You might have known as Fox. He used to talk about the border, and then he was here on Fox 11 with Marla Tellez of that. They were like all over the COVID and the witch doctor Ferrer, which we'll talk about when Dr. Kelly comes on at the bottom of the hour. When we join the mighty KMT 1490 at the bottom of the hour. That this is his first report. This is a little bit east down the 8 from San Diego, Jacumba, California. Now they're rolling. Now the Texas, as we said, in Eagle Pass down there in the Rio Grande Valley. They're coming in 3,000 to 4,000 a day until Abbott got his crews down there and fenced it off. And Biden ain't had the balls to go down there and challenge him. They're down to 30. 99% reduction by building the wall of illegal immigration. Here's yesterday's report. I want to touch on that, and then we'll get to today's report from Bill Malusian on Fox News. Here we go.
Hey, Jackie, good morning to you. Out here in Jacumba, we're about an hour east of downtown San Diego right now. This is a very remote area that has seen an explosion of illegal crossings from Chinese migrants and Middle Eastern migrants. This is the area the cartel has been pushing them across for some reason. You can see some of them over my shoulder right now.
Like Bill, but we know the reason why the cartels are pushing them, because they need people to run their illegal sex trafficking, drug trafficking, and labor trafficking that Joe Biden is paying off for them providing the cartels, the Mexican and Chinese cartels, for providing the brown paper sacks of cash and probably the extra box of ballots that suddenly appeared 3 years ago on that. Here's more from Bill Malusian.
Now camped out off a major interstate out here, waiting for Border Patrol to pick them up. I'll show you what it looked like out here last night. Take a look at this video. I came out before midnight. There were dozens of these migrants from all around the world who are camping out here with fires. It's chilly out here. Again, waiting for Border Patrol to pick them up. This is right off of Interstate 8 out here in San Diego County, a main thoroughfare. There was not a single Border Patrol agent out here for hours when I was.
Not a single Border Patrol agent for hours. Those 3,000 or 4,000 that were coming across in Eagle Pass, that's why you had about a week delay. Now they're coming through Jacumba. I guess that's how you say it. That's why I got Bill around to tell me how to pronounce these fancy words. Jacumba, California. We had Ben Berkwam. He was giving us the 411 a couple of weeks ago. They were starting to shift them in. They were starting to shift them to California as the Texas border got more secure. They're cutting holes, and our government's cutting holes in the fences so they can come in. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Was out here, all these people waiting to be picked up, some from China, some from Turkey, some from Central America. They were just waiting. Here's some of what they had to say when I talked to them. Take a listen. Where are you guys from?
Turkey.
Turkey. Where are you guys from? ¿De dónde son? Ecuador. Where are you guys from?
China.
China. China. What city in the U.S. do you want to go to?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, L.A.?
Oh, this is going to work out great. I just can't wait for this. And the reason why is because they were easier to. They've already taken over California, but now that the Texas border is shut off, they can't get them all through Arizona. So this was their stopgap measure. Was if Texas got uppity about this and wouldn't let them across, well, we'll just shift the Texas crew over to the California border. And you see that. This is Bill Malusian's report today on Fox News from, I still think he's in Jacumba, California. Here we go.
Yeah, Martha, I want to show you something pretty crazy that's happening out here. This is the first time I've ever seen this in my coverage of the border. Take a look up on this mountain right here. This is in Jacumba. This is a huge, rocky, steep mountain. It might be hard. We're trying to zoom in. There is literally like an ant trail of illegal immigrants coming down this valley, this crevice in this mountain right now, walking down and coming down to the bottom here, waiting to be apprehended by Border Patrol. This line goes all the way from the bottom where I am, all the way to the very top of this mountain towards where those rocks are. We got the drone on it and our...
Gotta love Bill with that. They're coming down the mountain like an ant trail of that. And he's exactly correct. Look at how long that is in the line. And it does. It looks like, how ants go from wherever the food source is to their little home dug in the ground, and you see them, trailing up and this and that. It's exactly what it looked like. Remember what Gavin Newsom said? I'm with Joe Biden, and this is the new America. This is the America we have planned for you.
Ground camera, again, it might be very hard to see. We have to zoom in pretty far away. 3 men made it down the hill already. They came and talked to us. They were all from Kazakhstan, okay? We have a big group of Chinese migrants behind us watching and filming this with their iPhones behind us. This is just how everything is going here in San Diego sector right now. But you can see this steady stream of people who have literally climbed to the top of this mountain and are walking all the way down just to get into this San Diego sector illegally. We've seen a mixture of single adults. We've seen some families bringing their little kids as well. The group you're looking at right now is towards the bottom of the mountain, but this is obviously incredibly dangerous, and I've never seen anything like this. Normally, we see these migrants take the path of least resistance. I mean, there's literally holes in the wall on ground level where we are that they could have just walked around, but for whatever reason, this group of, I can't even tell how many it is, many dozens, maybe over 100 in total or so, have climbed to the top of this huge rocky mountain.
They're probably trying to get away from the cartels because they probably ran out of whatever money they had. I don't know. It is kind of strange that they would take that path over. Maybe they were told, maybe they're trying to disperse so everybody's not in all in one spot and it looks bad, like they had the scene down there in Eagle Pass, Texas, under the overpass and all that, and then they cleaned that up. But still, the same amount of people were coming across the border. Man, I'm sure Ben Barkrom and Oscar Blue Ramirez and the crew, Todd Bensman, will be on this along with Bill Malusian. This story's going to California's going to get uglier. This is going to be the 80s and 90s. Those of you who lived through that, probably on steroids. Very interesting situation broke out at the Val Verde School Board. Mike McCormick, the longtime superintendent, announced, I think the last meeting or two, that he's retiring at the end of the school year. So June 1st, he's off the docket. They got to get a new superintendent, fine and dandy. You know, that's the way things go. We all understand that. So, of course, the Board of Education, Marla Kirkland, Erica Zamora, Daniel Aquino, Melinda Young, and the dude that howls at the moon or whatever, I think his name is Seraphin or something. They got to hire a new superintendent. So, okay. Well, let's see how they're going to go about it. This is very interesting. Let's see.
That's McPherson Jacobson.
Oh, okay. So that was one that we actually, it sounded like we wanted to hear from.
So they're talking about, do we hire a headhunter recruiter firm to go out there and look for that, or do we just, maybe advertise it in the newspaper, or they're discussing, okay, what's the process? How are we going to pick a new superintendent to run Val Verde School Board, to be the chief operating officer of Val Verde School District?
Okay.
So I just have a comment. So
this is board member Melinda Young getting ready to comment, and this will be very interesting. Here
necessary. I really don't agree in that we're moving in the right direction with the superintendent search. When we have a highly qualified cabinet member who has proven to be worthy of his position, we are wasting money and resources when we should be promoting within. Member Zamora, you stated in several open meetings that you do favor promoting within our district. So why shouldn't this position be any different? This board has the authority to appoint a superintendent without an outside search. This cabinet member has a proven track record of success. This promotion would be the least disruptive to our district so we can continue to move forward in the right direction. This district has common practice to
The school board has the authority to appoint a superintendent. Duh. That's your job. You can do it any way you want. I will caution you 100%. Miss Young, Marla Kirkland, like you both. But if you want to run Val Verde Unified School District into the same condition and run it into the same ground, Moreno Valley Unified School District, which is on the verge of bankruptcy, continue on the action that you want to take. Because this action happened exactly March 17th, 2017. Dr. Judy White was the superintendent of Moreno Valley Unified. Got bumped up to county superintendent. Dr. Martin Rex Kezidor was number 2 guy under Judy White. That school board, Moreno Valley Unified School District, walked Martin Rex Kezidor in a closed session, had 20 union reps, teachers, Kezidor is the best thing since sliced bread. He's better than Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ walked on water. Kezidor does it on his hands. This guy is beyond reproach. Best person. You don't have to look. One member of the community. Guess who? And I will show you the minutes of the meeting. Said this guy's not the right guy for the job. And look where Moreno Valley Unified is 7 years later under the leadership, except the last 6 months when they fired his ass, on the verge of bankruptcy. Student achievement in the tank. Now, you're not on the verge of bankruptcy, but Stacy Coleman, your CBO, told you there's a storm clouds a-coming, and they're coming hard over the financial decisions that are doing. And I will give Melinda Young credit. She's brought those out. Those might be the same issues Jeff Hewitt brought when he was county supervisor to the county board there. It's an interesting paradox how this is all going to shake out.
overlook hardworking staff members, and this is a perfect example of that. There are already there's already a distrust among the community with the board because of the decisions that we make. This just needs to change, and the change begins with us. By us getting a brand new superintendent that knows nothing about our district and our past, and even gets to know the entire board, I think this is a bad direction for the entire district.
I 110,000% disagree. Val Verde, well, maybe not quite as bad as MVUSD, has had declining student achievement, not at grade level, and declining for many years. Your CBO is telling you, hey, you keep this up, you'll be looking at the barrel of the gun MVUSD is doing right now. Again, you should be looking to putting an interim superintendent in there to come in there and kick ass and take names. And I will tell you why. You need somebody to come into Val Verde and practically every school district in the state of California to come in here that isn't aligned with everybody that's in there, that's friends or alliances, or I don't want to tell on you, or I got this piece of dirt in there. You need somebody to come in there and independently tell you, the school board members, yeah, this person's doing good. This person you should get rid of. This policy you should change. Like you should change the policy of not putting the meeting and deliberately moving that meeting, your meetings, against Moreno Valley Unified School District so people like me could come up there and speak. Only Marla Kirkland stood for our right to come up and redress you. This is the same tactics like Estienne Gutierrez, and guess who backed him, did at Moreno Valley City and Moreno Valley Unified has done for decades. Baca versus MVUSD. You might want to familiarize yourself with that case.
Melinda, I think that was very well said. And I totally agree with you. You know, and I wish I wish that the board could come to that same conclusion.
Oh, and I love you, Marlon. I hope they don't. We will see that they didn't. And you don't have to hire outside firm. Why don't you take your responsibility? You guys run the interviews. You can recruit yourself, put out, hey, we're hiring a superintendent. Here's the request for proposals. Here's the qualifications we want. Send in your resumes. We'll schedule interviews. Do them in public. Have a board meeting. Put all the candidates out there. That's how I would do it. Let's see who's the best and the brightest. Because if I understand it right, you're going to hire the chief academic guy over there, the number 2 guy that's watched declining student achievement in Valverde School District. You're below Moreno Valley Unified in math. I didn't think that was possible.
Well, are you done? Can I talk?
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt. I think the issue that I have with that is because it is the position of the person who runs this district. And we owe it to the community and to the associations and to the employees to have a say. And I think with any superintendent search, you have to ask the community and the staff for their input. And in no way am I saying by
Erica Zamora is exactly right. That's the proper procedure of hiring anybody. Not, oh, we're running it into the ground with the current personnel. Oh, isn't that just hunky-dory? Maybe. And she's not even, she's even making a very how decisions are made every day in the business world, probably in your home and everything else. Hey, what's the best thing to do here? Well, let's consider some options.
let's go down this way is Lenore's not qualified. If I thought that, I wouldn't have voted for him to be a deputy superintendent. So to assume that the reason why I'm doing this is because I want somebody brand new and, that's just an assumption. I would like for us to go with what we had said we were gonna do is hire a search company, a consulting company that can really survey the staff, survey everybody, and then we'll see what they say and we'll see what kind of candidates they.
Well, what we actually agreed to was to have them present.
Exactly.
We haven't agreed to hire.
No, I know, but when we originally, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That they're gonna present for us to do that. So for us to bypass all of that, which almost every single board does, is go through a search with the input of the departments of the district. To me, that's not responsible.
So again, I will caution you, Marla Kirkland and Melinda Young, the exact policy we have that. We have the model of how that works out. Moreno Valley Unified School District, Dr. Martin Rex Keziadora. Not only do we got declining enrollment, we are one of 2 school districts in Riverside County that are on the verge of bankruptcy, of receivership. And again, I agree with Ms. Zamora that Lenore guy might be the guy you ultimately hire. But if you're going to go, we're going to shove this down your throat, we're not going to look, only anybody that's ever been at Valverde is the only one qualified to run a school district. That kind of thinking will have your school district crashed and in turmoil, just like Moreno Valley Unified. Do you want to run it like the crime syndicate, like the crime boss, Jesus Holguin, and his underboss, C.J. Johnson? Because that's what they did. It's how they ran the school district. It's how they ran Moreno Valley Unified in the freaking ground.
And it has nothing to do with Mr. Lenore and his experiences and his qualifications, because it's obvious by the vote that we had last time, 5-0, that we felt he was deserving of deputy superintendent. So obviously we know that he is capable of it. I would like to just do it the way that is meant to be, which is with the input of the community.
So,
And I'm
sorry.
But it's the board, it
It's-
is the board's job. to
Correct. It's the
analyze.
board's decision.
And
Of course
doesn't-
it is.
And it does.
But the bottom line is that we need someone to run this district that knows this district. They put us.
That's what Martin Rex Casiodora did, Miss Young. And I ain't saying that Mr. Lenore is not qualified, but don't discount or say only somebody that's worked at Valverde, only of this entire, anybody else is totally unqualified, or you don't even want to look, or you don't even want to consider, you don't want to put options on the table.
Get somebody that is not qualified or is not a good fit. You're assuming that we don't think that of Mr. Lenore. And I want to
I'm
make
not
it very
assuming that.
clear, well, because you keep saying, like, we have somebody here, we have somebody here. We know that. But where we're saying, just like you asked for staff members to come up and speak, that's exactly what it is that we're asking for, is for a consultant company to do that for us. In the proper way, not just having one or two people being able to speak, is giving the voice to everybody.
Okay.
Again, after her saying she's a wokist and a union thug up on the dais, it's refreshing to see that, at least in this instance, Erica Zamora is the voice of reason on the Marina, or on the Valverde Unified School District, and she's for. I could not agree with her more. You know, Stackler are you afraid to have some competition against Lenore or something, or is he afraid of it? I want to know that. If somebody's challenging or that, or what's he going to do? How's he going to react to a situation? That's what the interview process, that's why you screen. That's why you look and explore options to see which one is the best one. And that's all Erica Zamora, Daniel Aquino, and Matt Serafin said, and they did vote for, to that. Kirkland and Young voted against considering any other option, but from what it appears like, hiring the candidate they want. That is very dangerous, an extremely dangerous situation. And you only have the example, again, of Moreno Valley Unified School District and the Moreno Valley Crime Syndicate of the crime boss, Jesus Holguin, the underboss, C.J. Johnson, and the consigliere, Dr. Martin Rex Casiodora, and you see how that story is playing out. Do you want to repeat that at Valverde Unified School District? I sure as hell hope you don't. Your vote and your arguments said it did. I hope you will clarify this or stand on it. If you stay silent, you're standing on what you said and the action you took and the arguments you made. And to me, man, based on history, that ain't going to work good. We can't change the past. We can learn from the mistakes of the past. Hope you will learn and look at the mistakes in the past that have been made in this community, and please don't do them again. I don't think we can take any more of this. We don't want to see our schools crashed or livelihoods go up in smoke.
Hey, 30 seconds, Roy.
There you heard Sean say with 30 seconds, we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET 1490 AM. Hopefully Dr. Kelly Victory will call in, and we'll proceed from there. We'll talk about, there's some new stuff going on with the witch doctor and all that other good stuff going on. Take a little breath.
Here we go, 10 seconds.
Going on here, switch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. News and claims expressed
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience at the Evil FB Network and Rumble. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire on Rumble. I don't know. I tried YouTube on that, so I just did that to irritate them once in a while over there in the big G network of that. That place is becoming way too big. That's another one. Along with TikTok, Google probably needs to be broken up under the Sherman Antitrust Act on that story for a different day. Brought you the story of a Riverside store owner, jewelry store owner who had their store smash and grabbed. They did use, appears to be a 12-gauge shotgun, didn't appear to hit the perpetrators. Like, who's the Norco store owner? We've got the one guy over there, but Craig, I think his name was, recently passed away. But it personifies what's going down. We broke down the Gavin Newsom interview, press conference on the home key, and all the signaling that not only are you going to be down to a 200 square foot cubicle, or that's the future they see, even more dangerous than that is turning the California Highway Patrol into the state police force. And I believe that's the intention of that, is to run you to the point of the state's going to run the whole show. They're going to be the law enforcement agency. They're going to be your insurance company. They're going to be your car company. They're going to tell you what kind of car or what type of transportation you got, where you're going to live, how you're going to live, and everything else. It's astonishing to me that we see this. And I don't know how much more of this we can really take. That whole thing. And then he ended up saying at the end of the press conference, Joe Biden had accomplished more and was the most dynamic president in his lifetime. Almost off the charts believable if it wasn't on videotape. We showed the reports from Bill Malusian from Jacamba, California, coming in of how all the migrants that were pouring across Texas are now pouring across the California side of the border. the famous Eagle Pass, Texas, where 3,000 to 4,000 a day were just coming through that small town in Texas, are down to 30 once Greg Abbott and the governor of Texas put the state troopers down there, put razor wire, barricades, containers, built their own temporary wall. 99% of the illegal immigration stopped. Well, now they're coming through California, about 60 miles dead east on the border from San Diego. We brought you the Bill Malusian report from yesterday and today, the horrific story of that. And it's just absolutely astonishing of what we'll tolerate. And like I said, that was their safety valve. And they probably knew at some point Greg Abbott was going to shut the deal off. So that was their deal. Okay, we can deal with that. We'll just, once we get to that point, we'll just divert them up to the California. Arizona's been taking as many as they can. That was already opened up as much as they can. But the terrain is really difficult in Arizona. There's not as many places where they can come in through in Arizona. It's pretty tight. But now we're the stopgap measure, and with all this free, no cost to them. No, we're paying for it, Gavin Newsom. The legislature passed all illegals coming in are going to get health care at no cost to them at a charge to us. And at the exploding cost of medical care, and we don't even need to get into that, especially since the government's going to run everything trip. If the high cost of groceries and fuel and housing going up through the moon, if that doesn't do us in, this will if we don't stop it. Hopefully we can batten down the hatches and take this for another, 7 or 8 or 9 months, 10 months until Trump gets in there. And God help us if we don't elect Trump in November here. If we allowed them to steal this again, we're talking about the Moreno Valley Unified's problems of being on bankruptcy and that, and what's going on down in Valverde and all our school districts. It's all going to be for naught, because we're down to that. Again, we're down to like that critical mass, like Moreno Valley Unified seeing it. And we're trying to get Dr. Kelly in, but for some reason we're not being able to make connections. So if we don't hear in the next few minutes, maybe we'll have her on later in the week. But this stuff that happens to us, it just seems like, and I don't know, maybe I'm just doing it, but I get a sense from a lot of people, man, it just keeps piling on each day. Each day, it seems like we get more and more and more of just this assault. Like I say, now we're going, as if we don't have enough to deal with here in California. Now we're going to have to start dealing with illegals coming from everywhere. And notice that Bill Malusian report, they're not one of them said they were from Mexico. In fact, most of them were the Middle East, China, South America, Colombia, Nicaragua. Hardly anybody's coming up from Mexico and or Canada. I mean, how do they get from all these places to here? This one, even as concerning and all the things we had to do with the immigration crises of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, basically. This one has the potential of being worse than any of them that we've had to endure up to this point. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to make connections with Dr. Kelly Victory today, so hopefully we'll be able to get her on again later this week. But and another thing that's going on, and of course, there's going to be 5 inches of rain coming into California, which means there's a drop here, and you take your tape measure over, and oh, there's another drop, 5 inches. But this is another one, and I like KTLA. We ran their report on the smash and grab. Great report. But this is their post on their news feed. The storm, Pacific Storm. A storm. Let me read this right. A storm, Pacific Storm, is drenching Southern California with heavy rain Monday, prompting the National Weather Service to issue flood alerts for much of the region. It's a freaking rain. Oh, yeah, there'll be some trees down. There'll be some flooding. And there'll be some vagrants that are floating in the LA River, and they got to rescue them, or however it works. But it's not a national emergency. The storm is drenching with heavy rain and prompting this. It's a normal rainstorm. And what happened to the climate? What happened to Newsom's whole, in 2 years, there's going to be no water at all? We're all going to be skeletons sitting out in the vast regions of California because we have no water. There's a climate change because you went to the grocery store in your car. I mean, I think they do this stuff just to keep you on the fearmonger thing. They keep you so lit up that you're just in constant fear all the time. You're just like, hey, just make it stop. I'll do anything to make it stop. And I believe that's why they do that. Another thing I want to roll through is I didn't even get done with the 12-part series on just the 2 study sessions and board meetings we've had in February at Moreno Valley Unified School District, outlining that we're on the verge of bankruptcy in that school district. And I think I've got 4 or 5 of them out. They're all on Rumble, if you want to check it out. I haven't got them all done, but I started a new series, and it's going to be a 12-part series of that, starting before they approve the budget in June, from passing the budget in June, which they're mandated to do because their fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th of the next year. So that's their budget year. Of how we got to the situation, because practically everybody was denying what was going on. And of course, Moreno Valley Unified, and it was pointed out by Dr. Scott Price, the only reason that at this particular date and time that Moreno Valley Unified is in the crisis situation is they had a couple lawsuits that they had to settle, or that they did settle. I guess they didn't have to, but they did settle. And that sped up their process, but even without the lawsuits, by the end of next year, they would be basically out of cash. And there's another school district just in Riverside County is at that point, but he said most school districts are on this trajectory to do that. We have told you, we told the school board, Moreno Valley Unified, and we broadcast on the show in 2018 and 19, the reports that said 85% of school districts in the state of California were going to be bankrupt, out of cash. They really technically don't go bankrupt. They go into receivership. Basically, that's state control, and state comes in and runs the school district. The school district has no say. They fire the superintendent. The state basically becomes the dictator of the school district. We warned of that. Now, what has happened, as we showed in the charts, is the 2.5, 3 years of the COVID funding money papered over all this stuff. But as Stacy Coleman, the chief business official down in Valverde, they're cutting jobs, they're cutting staff in Alvord, at Riverside, in every school district practically in Riverside County and across the state of California in this budget cycle coming up. Because the reason you're hearing about it is because in the next school year, when it starts in whatever, and now they start in August, which is a travesty in of itself. But if you're going to lay off employees for the upcoming school year that starts the 24-25 school year, that starts in August, in most districts, you have to lay them off or give them notice, or if you're reducing their pay or their classification or cutting their hours, you have to let them know by March 15th. If you don't give the current employees that notification, they're automatically in the budget for the next year. So they had to cut employees not only at Moreno Valley Unified, but a lot of school districts in anticipation of, in the 2024-25 school year, you're going to hear a lot of the same reports you're hearing at Moreno Valley Unified right now. And that is the crisis, per se, that you see this, and that's why I say this is the new. I released the first one this morning. The first 3, along with the other 12-part series, are up on Rumble. And the reason I'm doing this, and I did it before the first 12-part series before the last meeting, was because the school board had it before they're making these decisions that they're doing. Now, Moreno Valley Unified is going to have a special meeting tomorrow because they didn't get to half of the agenda that they didn't, because they were dealing with the financial crisis that you're doing. So again, and that's why I went through the very dangerous policy that board members Kirkland and Young were advocating at the last Valverde meeting, saying, oh, we just want to hire the number 2 guy and move him up. We don't want to check with nobody, because, as I said, that was exactly what Moreno Valley Unified did on January 17th, 2017, when Judy White got promoted up to County Board of Supervisor, and they did it in closed session, no interviews, no nothing. where the public really didn't have a right. They trotted 20 school district lackeys and employees, mostly teachers. Oh, Martin Rex Kezidor's greatest thing since sliced bread. I was the only one there that said, hey, this guy ain't the right guy. You need to hire a superintendent in here that comes in and kicks ass and take names because the school district's going down the drain. Of course, they did not listen to that. They went into closed session. They came back in open session, said, we got a new superintendent. 7 years later, we're faced with this. The worst of the worst. This is why it's important. I say this about your local level. It's why it's important you should get to your school district, your school board meetings, and speak out. Tell them. I will tell you this, and I will tell you, they will, if they don't tell you publicly, they will tell you privately. The worst fear of any public official sitting up on the dais or any executive staff member is for you to show up at those meetings and for you to question them in public, in person, looking eye to eye with them. Because to a man or a woman, every one of them, from presidents of the United States to the sewer cleaning commissioner, has said that's exactly the case. The people have the ultimate power, especially under our representative republic of the United States of America. Far and most of the time, we do not exercise that power. And again, the most effective way to exercise that power is to look them directly in the eye and say, this is what needs to be done. Don't BS us. Don't try and tell us red is blue and orange is purple and 2 + 2 = 9,432. Just give us a straight scoop and we'll figure it out. And ever increasingly, we're becoming a no-ball society. People are, for whatever reason, they're afraid to stand up to the government. When you're afraid to look them in the eye, say not no, but hell no, then they know they've won. And they know they got control over you. One very important lesson I've learned: make them more afraid of you than you are of them. And that, if you can use that empowerment, you will find how much easier and how much faster things will move. Because again, if it's 1 versus 100, if you got 100, if you got 1,000, if you got 10,000 that ain't afraid to look them in the eye and say, we're not backing down, tell me who's got the ultimate power. As you know, I've been talking about standing up for our country, doing something. These big box stores stayed open while the little guys closed. Will our voices be heard? Does voting with our dollars work? PatriotSwitch.com gives patriots the power to walk away from the big box stores forever. Stop supporting the enemies of freedom now. That's why PatriotSwitch.com was created, for those who support America. PatriotSwitch.com. Is your car doing the hucklebuck and afraid you will be stuck? Well, head on down to Toyota of San Bernardino, Nissan of San Bernardino, Subaru of San Bernardino, and the San Bernardino Auto Mall, and catch a Camry, look ravishing in a Rogue, or be styling in a Subaru. Don't forget I-10 Toyota in Indio for those of you in the lower desert. You deserve to be the happiest human on the planet. So head on down to one of these 4 great dealerships for the car of your dreams. Spread the word. IE Newswire is now on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 p.m. on Rumble and KMET 1490 AM, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Join all the cool kids who want an eclectic look at the news without all the filters of the evil scoundrels of social media and the despicable dorks of the dominant press. Don't bumble and stumble. Subscribe to IE Newswire on Rumble and roll with the best hillbilly hoedown around. That's it. If you want to buy American, go to PatriotSwitch.com. If you need a new Subaru or Toyota, go to one of Cliff Cummings' great dealerships in San Bernardino Auto Mall at D10 and 215 freeways. Don't forget I-10 Toyota down in that lower desert. Oh, man, we got a couple minutes left on that. Hopefully we'll get Dr. Kelly on later on in the week. For some reason, we could not make connections today, but sometimes that stuff happens over circumstances. So we'll do that. I'm sure there'll be 10,000 stories for us to cover for tomorrow on that, as there will, of course, all sorts of fun and frivolity going on in Riverside and San Bernardino counties of that. But again, I hope people take it more seriously on that. Is you have more effect at your local level. And again, you can do a lot of things, but if it's one thing to tack on the computer or look on the phone or commiserate with those in the chat room or whatever, it's a whole new world when you confront them eye to eye, face to face. And again, if you're really about change or you want to affect that, that's how you got to do it, because that's how it goes. If George Washington and the crew didn't stand up to King George, we wouldn't have what we got today. So we'll be back tomorrow. And as we usually say at this time, mandatory, you're back here in now 22 hours live to hear the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
The proceeding was a pay.
All right, Roy, have a good day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Are you going to be doing a video?
Yeah, I'll have a tape in tomorrow.
All right, sounds good.
You got it.
Bye now.
Hello, hello, hello.
His career is off to a hot start. It's been hot since he buckled in at the age of 5, hasn't it? How'd y'all find this guy? What made you think that this guy, Jesse Love, was somebody that would be perfect for RCR? Maybe those 10 wins in ARCA last year. And the championship, yeah, he's proven himself. You know, it's always taking a chance when you go to the next level, but we feel really good about him.
Uh, Gotta do YouTube. Yeah, YouTube.
On the back, Gabe. Hey, bud. Everybody here.
On the verge of bankruptcy. Student achievement in the I think since they all these places, you hear this one even as concerning and all the things we had to do with why is it still the fuck on?